Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It is day 6 of Advent. Oh, right, hold on a second. Do you know this dog? She could do this before I start. Come on up. Right, the fat bum's up. Right, so yesterday I have to make an apology for my lack of brain cells on day 5 video. When I look back at the video, now I do edit it and I do give it a quick run through before I upload it. But I think because it took me 30 hours to upload day 4, what day? We're on day 5, day 3's. And by the time it uploaded yesterday tea time, usually that time of day is when my brain starts to shut down and I just want to cuddle up on the sofa and watch some TV. So I made a couple of blunders. Oh, crikey. And I was still at the back end of the cold, but I'm feeling a lot better today. So yeah, on my editing, I had day 6 Vlogmas. But I did put down on the editing on the title day 5. And then when I rewatched it this morning, I'm like, day 4? Joe, really? And then in the next breath, I'm saying day 5. So this is what happens when you've got fibromyalgia crossed with the back end of a head cold. Nothing makes any sense. Anyway, so we're on day 6. It's Monday and it's a brand new week. So let's get on with this. So today's number 6. Oh dear. And we have Jade. This is a really, really lovely blend. And I really like the colours. I'm not one for greens. I had this conversation on my live chat yesterday on Instagram. If you want to watch it, you can find it on IGTV. And if you can't find it, go into my bio and you'll see it down there. Because I do live chat every Saturday if you're new to my YouTube channel. And you can catch you with whatever I've been talking about. But, oh, crikey, it's a bit bright. Try coming where it's... Let me see if I can turn this light down a little bit. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better. So it's got these gorgeous pea green, grass green hues in there. Mixed in with whites. It's got natural wools in there that haven't been dyed. Let me just find the start of it. Sometimes you just have to feel your fingers to find where it starts off. There's nothing saying that you can't spin this off as a giant roll lag. And if that's the case, figure out which way it's been turned first, and then you can you won't get any jumbled up fibres. Oh crikey, noisy cat's here now. Do you know, there's never any peace in this house. Right, I've made the right old codswallop of this one. Right, Joe, you're supposed to know what you're doing. To be fair, I have got the tail end of what was left from the Advents anyway. So you guys got all the fill ones and I got the dodgy looking bits. So there we go. So you've got hints of white and you've got like a very mild foresty green that runs in through there, and you've got peppermint and there's hints of spearmint blue in there, and there's the odd little colour of yellow or peachy colour, and that's from the Viscose that I've used in the blending of it just to add another dimension. So this has got, where's the bag, girls? Right, Jade has got BFL, Blue Faved Leicester in there that's been dyed like a minty green. And then I've added in some kid mohair, but the top, so it's a natural, just an off-white colour that you'll get with it, and it's really long fibres that you get. Some Viscose, which Viscose is actually a fibre that was created about 70, maybe 80 years ago. Well, yeah, we're in 2020s, aren't we? So around about that time, and it was actually invented using wood pulp and something else in wood pulp. And it was supposed to be, it come out looking more like a silk once it had gone through the processing system. And it actually does have, naturally, its own little tiny fibres in there. So whenever you buy, if you go on a World of Wool and you buy the undyed Viscose, it has got a slight, ever so fine texture in the fibres that gives it a really soft, tweedy feeling. Or if you buy the coloured tweedy Viscose top from World of Wool, and you get the red, the black, you get greens, you can get the little packs of them, different colours. Well, those soft neps that are in through that as well are the Viscose. So it is a really nice fibre. It is a plant-based fibre, but it is a man-made plant-based fibre. So it has gone through an industrial process. Right, and it's got merino in there, and silk, and stellina. So stellina is like an Angelina or a Firestar, but it's just a lot more finer, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? And I suppose I could go with staple. So its length is a lot finer than you get with an Angelina. It's quite harsh, and a trilobal has got that plasticky feel to it. So trilobal's Firestar. So it depends on what side of the pond you're on as to what you call it. So I think with it being that type of fibre, I am going to go with just a straight on spin. And I think this will look nice with the day 1 and 2 with the blues when I use it in a weaving. So definitely. So I'm just going to break up my strands. And today's stories are, I think I've managed to find a list of 12 most haunted places in the UK. So I'm going to see if I can find some more information of those when I'm doing my voiceover, because I do them after I've done my video. So if I make any fluff ups, please excuse me. I'm usually getting battered by a dog behind me, getting pestered by a cat, and sometimes I have to pause and start my reading all over again because they've made me shout at them. Anyway, so this actually, I had some of this left over, and I've actually got a list that's going on the shop tomorrow, and it's got some of this in it, but I've actually added it with lots of 18 micron count merino and llama, and it's jam-packed with that, and this gorgeous crystallina Angelina that whatever colour you put it with, it's white, but whatever colour you put it with, it seems to take on that hue, so it looks like it's green, or if you put it with blues, it looks like it's blue, but it's not really, it's white. And that's got, it's called Kiss a Frog, so that's going on my that's actually on the website now, but it'll be live to buy tomorrow morning. Just thought I'd get that in there. So that's got some of this mixed in with it as well. And one of these animals is just trumped, and it's awful. Oh dear, do you know what? Don't ever work with animals. It's true what they say, don't. Right, so I'm going to get on with this, and I'm going to watch Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince while I'm doing this. And you lot can listen to me waffle away in the background. I'll see you on the other side. So I've ended up going with Essex, which is a place that I used to live when I was younger in Colchester. Essex is home to multiple castles, churches and manors, which the tourism board used as a major marketing point. The country has also a couple of new towns, such as Harlow and Basildon, which were built following the destruction caused by World War II. What is lesser known about Essex is that the country is also the scene of countless ghost stories and said to be haunted by various phantoms and spirits, many of whom dwell within the aforementioned castles, churches and manors. So we're going with the first one of Coal House Fort. Choose any artillery fort you want, and you're probably going to find 1 or 2 ghost stories associated with it. However, you're unlikely to find one as steeped in paranormal activity as Coal House Fort. The fort was originally built during the 1860s and was utilised during World War I and World War II before being used for storage. Coal House Fort was eventually sold to Thurrock Council in 1962. The majority of the supernatural occurrences at Coal House Fort have been reported in the tunnels beneath the building, and many visitors have heard the disembodied voices of men, seemingly in the middle of a tense poker game, along with the laughter of children. There have also been sightings of dark figures lurking at the end of hallways, usually accompanied by a mysterious cloud of smoke. The washrooms at Coal House Fort have also been the site of much paranormal activity and are said to be haunted by the spirit of a man who has been nicknamed Harry. Harry seems to teeter between the status of irritable spirit and full-on poltergeist, and has reportedly been responsible for visitors being pushed or grabbed while walking through the building, as well as numerous exploding light bulbs. Leia Marnie Tower. While it's not the oldest building on this list, Leia Marnie Tower is considered by many to be one of the most haunted locations in Essex, perhaps even the entire United Kingdom. Building began in 1523 under the orders of Lord Henry Marnie, who wanted to have a home that would reflect his status and personality. Unfortunately for Marnie, he passed away before it was even completed. After Lord Marnie's death, the tower became something of a hot potato and saw many owners, one of whom frequently entertained Queen Elizabeth I. The home was very nearly destroyed in the Great Earthquake of 1884, but somehow managed to stay standing. Reports of spirits at Leia Manor at Marnie Tower are copious, and it is said that Lord Henry Marnie himself still walks the grounds, mourning the fact that the tower was not completed to his specifications. Oftentimes Marnie is seen in full armour or riding on horseback or ready to do battle with an enemy who will never come. The apparition of a gardener has also been seen tending to an area where the bodies of 2 children were discovered many years ago, though it is not clear what his connection is to the deceased. An Australian woman who stayed for a couple of nights at the tower complained that she would wake up to find herself being harassed by a pair of floating hands, not attached to anything or anyone. This persisted until she discovered that the activity would stop if she left the door open to her room. Hadley Castle. Much of the paranormal activity at Hadley Castle has been captured on camera by some of Britain's most eager paranormal investigators. However, the ghastly goings-on at the castles was reported long before the advent of such technology. Hadley Castle was built early in the 13th century, but quickly fell victim to poor planning. Having been built on unsteady ground, Hadley Castle rapidly began to deteriorate and was probably in a pretty bad way by the time it was sold for £700. The new owner of Hadley Castle did little to care for it, and the building was in ruins by the 19th century, during which time it is believed that the infamous highway Dick Turpin, who seems to pop up a lot in ghost stories around the UK, used it as a hideout. Hadley Castle is said to be haunted by the ghost of a haggard old lady who was encountered one morning by a milkmaid named Sally. The ghostly figure demanded Sally return to the castle at midnight to meet her again. However, the young woman couldn't bring herself to venture to the building in the dead of night, which is more than understandable. Unfortunately for Sally, she encountered the manacle woman a second time the next morning. Furious that the milkmaid had stood her up the previous night, the witch struck her on the head, almost dislocating her neck in the process, and from then on, Sally became known to the locals as Wry-neck Sal. To this day, it is said that the withered hag can still be heard cackling during the night, and few have been brave enough to venture to the ruins after dusk. Kevlerden Hatch Nuclear Bunker. Kevlerden Hatch Bunker was built in 1952 with the intention of housing civilians along with members of the military in the event of a nuclear attack. However, such an attack never occurred, and the bunker was deemed unessential in the early 90s. Since then, Kevlerden Hatch Bunker had been opened as a tourist attraction and allowing visitors from around the world a fascinating insight into military life during the Cold War. Along with history buffs, Kevlerden Hatch Bunker is frequently visited by paranormal enthusiasts and those hoping to get a glimpse of location's famous ghosts. Kevlerden Hatch Bunker seemed bound from tragedy from the get-go, and it is believed that an ancient burial ground was unearthed during the construction. It is also said that the site foreman was buried in a pool of cement following an accident that occurred after staff had gone home. No body was ever recovered, so if the foreman was indeed drowned in concrete, his corpse still lies beneath the bunker. There has been much poltergeist activity reported at the bunker, with many visitors hearing growls which cannot be traced to any known animal in Essex. The sound of thundering footsteps and loud bangs are also frequent occurrence, or other stones being hurled at guests. One of the most terrifying incidences of poltergeist behaviour occurred during a ghost hunt at the site several years ago. In the middle of an investigation, when the building was covered in darkness, but for the light of team torches, the bunker's generator suddenly sprung into action. This was particularly frightening as the generator had been turned off for years. The Red Lion Hotel in Colchester. The Red Lion Hotel is one of the oldest inns in the oldest recorded town in Britain. Being as old as it is, the hotel has had plenty of time to be the scene of tragic events. And in 1638, it was the site of one of Colchester's most infamous crimes. A woman by the name of Alice Catherine Miller was working as a chambermaid in the hotel when she entered into an affair with a wealthy businessman, who promised her all sorts of riches and wonders if she was to run away with him. However, after he discovered that Alice was pregnant with his child, his attitude towards the woman shifted dramatically. Not willing to dedicate his remaining years and fortune to a child, the man took matters into his own hands and shoved the expected woman from one of the hotel windows. Alice fell to her death, but her ghost has been seen since wandering the halls of the Red Lion Hotel. Sightings of the chambermaid's ghost can be traced back as far as 200 years, when the owner of the hotel, exasperated with guests complaining about unexpected events, bricked up the door to what had been Alice's room. The owner had hoped that by doing this he would prevent any further appearances from the ghost, but it is clear that it did not do the trick. Visitors to the Red Lion Hotel still report witnessing the ghost of a woman roaming the hotel, and she most frequently appears in rooms 5, 6 and 10. Borley Rectory was first built in 1863 on the site of an old monastery. The reports of strange occurrences date back to the mid to late 1800s. However, the first documented evidence of paranormal activity was in the early 1900s. The first reports that came to public attention were from 1928, when the then owner, Guy Eric Smith, and his wife contacted the Daily Mirror newspaper to report strange going on. The newspapers then took on the help of a paranormal investigator known as Harry Price. Mr. Price stayed at the house to carry out extensive research for more than a year. In 1939, the house was burnt to the ground. An oil lamp was the cause, and then it left in ruins in 1944 when it was finally demolished. For a house labelled as the most haunted house in England, it is little wonder there is no shortage of ghostly stories. One of the earliest sightings, and perhaps the most famous, is that of a nun. This may seem strange given that there used to be a monastery on the site. One would expect a monk rather than a nun. According to local folklore, a nun from a nearby nunnery fell in love with a monk from the monastery, and the pair attempted to elope together. They were found and sentenced to death. The monk was reported to have been sent to the gallows in the monastery, while the nun was sealed into the walls of the nunnery alive. This nun is believed to be one that is seen on the grounds of Borley Rectory, looking for the monk in the hope of running away together once more. The nun has been seen and heard several times throughout the years. She seemed to be most active during the time in which Reverend Harry Bull lived there. The next most significant reports comes from Eric Smith and his wife. They reported mysterious footsteps, doorbells ringing of their own accord, and poltergeist activity which occurred numerous times. Eric Smith and his wife reported their experiences to the local paper, who then arranged for the paranormal investigator Harry Price to stay and investigate. While staying there for a little over a year, Price witnessed the reported poltergeist phenomena, and he was said to have got in touch with the spirit of a past tenant, Reverend Harry Bull, who died there 3 years before. After numerous attempts of exercising the property and continued media intrusions, in 1930, Mr. and Mrs. Smith left the house for good. The following residents of the house were Reverend Foyster and his wife, Marianne. They were both to continue to experience the same phenomena that Price and the Smiths had witnessed before them. However, the poltergeist activity seemed to get more aggressive, with reports of smashed glass, broken windows, and Marianne being thrown from her bed by an unseen force. The couple were also to experience otherworldly messages on walls which defied any logical reason like other reports. After 5 years of what must have been a very frightening indeed, the Foysters left the house, leaving Price to move in and continue his study without interference. However, during his stay, he and his team of researchers were left relatively disappointed as they witnessed very little compared to what had been seen before. A complete account of what Mr. Price experienced was published in the book the most haunted house in England. Even after the house was burnt to the ground, reports continued to emerge. The most recent reports occurred in the parish church of Mr. Price, died in 1948, and since then many sceptics have dissected his work, explaining all sound of phenomena and other phenomena that's misinterpreted natural occurrences. Believe what you will, but with all reports stretching over 100 years, seem to cement its place in one of the most haunted houses in Britain and maybe the world. Well, my idea on that one, Mr. Price, was the fact that you were single and not a married couple, and maybe the nun was jealous of the fact that you guys were living happily together and she was without her love. So that's what I think on that story. What do you think? So there we go. From that little bat into this really lovely, I mean, I don't even need to steam set that. Look at the balance on that. Do you know what? You feel so proud of yourself when you get that balance just sitting nice and it doesn't even twist on itself. So you can see all the little tiny bits. There is bits of mulberry silk oil in that. And there's the little bits of viscose that are popping through. Like I said, there is the oranges and the peachy colours and a hint of yellow. But they're just the tiniest little smidgens. Honestly, the viscose, it does create the most gorgeous little textured neps and a very soft version of a tweedy. So I mean, if you like texture in your yarn but you don't want those big lumpy bits of neps, then I would definitely go for some tweedy top. And if you can get it undyed and then dye it yourself, perfect. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it, and it's ended up more of a sea green than a pea green. And it's really pretty. I'm so chuffed with it. So yeah, I actually looked up some information on viscose. It's something I do like to research, and I've had people ask me numerous times what exactly is viscose. So if you just bear with me a second, and I will just pull up the quick bit of tidbit. It was actually invented in the back end of the Victorian period. Let me just see if I can find it again, because it was on here on my tablet, but you know what it's like when you can't, something disappears the minute you go onto it. Where is it? Oh dear, always the flaming same, isn't it? Nope, it's gone again. Do you know, I had this on this page a minute ago saved, and now it's not showing. Bear with me 2 ticks and I will find it. If my tablet, see, because it's got keyboards on it, it's always blinking same. So yeah, the information that I found on the fibre viscose is, oh dear, it is hold on a minute. It was created in the back end of the Victorian era, about 1891, and it was created, I think, in England. If you just bear with me a second, and I will find it. But it has the feel and the drape, feel and texture of silk, and they were hoping that it would be able to actually. A minute, let's just type it in. There we go. They were hoping it would actually replace silk. Then it wasn't really said much else about it later on in time until about 1910, and then it was actually used in America. So here we go. So viscose fibre. Do you know, Joe? Stick your teeth back in. Viscose fibre was discovered in 1890 by English scientists Cross and Bevan, and it was heralded as the new fibre to replace silk, and is sometimes called artificial silk. The fibre has been produced widely all over the world, usually in countries where there are plentiful supply of trees, as this is which provides the raw material for the fibre. The raw material is actually wood pulp, but also short cotton fibre, unusable for spinning, but is also a raw material. So the first commercial production in America was opened in 1910, and the American Viscose company, and the fibre then became known as Viscose rayon, with other producers following suit. So the first use for the fibres was in car tyres as reinforcing fibre. Massive volumes of the fibre were then never achieved due to the invention of other cheaper fibres such as polyester and nylon. Wood is pulped into sheets of cellulose and then steeped in an alkali solution. Oh, bless you. Sneezels. And after this process, the sheets are shredded into cellulose crumbs and treated with carbon disulfide, which then changes the chemical structure of the cellulose. This is then dissolved in a solution of sodium hydroxide to make a thick solution, hence the name viscose. This solution is then machine forced through spinnerets to produce viscose fibre into a wet spun process, and then the resultant fibre is then dried, crimped and cut to the required length. So there you go, you learn something new every day, don't you? I like going in a little machine. You know when something sticks in your head and you're like, right, I need to know. I know the information, but I can't remember where I read it. So that's a short version of what I know and understand about viscose. But yeah, so it's quite interesting how the process and how actually earlier in time that it was actually invented. I thought it was only about 80 odd years ago, but I got my numbers wrong. So there we go. So where have I put my will? So there we go. Day 6, Joe. Day 6. Remember that when you do your editing afterwards. Day 6, not 8 or 3. We've already done them ones. So I'm going to go and pop off now. I'm going to watch the rest of my Harry Potter. I'm going to go and find myself something to eat because the other half's at work until 9 o'clock tonight and it's all me on me Todd. And then, yeah, update tomorrow morning in the shop, 9 o'clock, and I'll be adding some more about noon as well. And I think that's all wool-wise I'll be adding to the shop this week. I'm hoping to get in front of the sewing machine on Tuesday. So if you've got any fluff orders, you want to order fluff rescue parcels in time for Christmas, give me a shout. They're still reduced in the shop at the moment. The 250 grams is usually £40, and the 150 grams is usually £30, but they've both got a bit of a reduced offer on them at the moment. But the larger one always comes with free postage, and I throw in some extra bits and pieces and not just fibres in there as well. And they always come gift wrapped. So they're there. Help yourselves, and remember, if you've got your Woolly Deal, Woolly Cottage discount code for your VIP 10% off, use that on there. The items is already discounted. There's still a couple of bats on the website as well that are discounted, so use your discount code on there. That's what it's there for. I'm only going to take them off the shop after Christmas anyway. So you take care of yourselves and I shall see you tomorrow. Bye bye.